It's like when people ask how your day is, you say fine. No follow-ups, no elaboration, just say fine. If someone's like at a job or you're running into them on the street, just say fine. They don't want a real answer.
Come on and visit for any occasion. So keep patting down waiting, comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
As we were setting up, you said, come on, we both want this to be over. And I said, what exactly did you mean by it? And you said, the usual.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
another boring day at the Boring Factory
encompasses a whole lot of the comics industry at the moment. I don't know that this is going to be a happy episode. Not that we ever have happy episodes.
A few times a year, probably.
Maybe.
And usually because of things well outside of the scope of the comics industry.
Yeah, right?
It's never because of the comics industry.
I feel like this is going to be a light shining episode.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot of dark corners.
I suppose you're right. Hey, speaking of dark corners, I had a thought about something that was going on in River North, in the Challengers Blue location.
No, you didn't. Nothing's going on there.
Well, I mean, obviously not with people buying things, but with we talked about some store layout stuff, specifically how we rearranged a few things and created another 4-foot section for the New This Week section, just in time for A, not much product to come out in the industry, B, the amount of product that we get specifically new for that store to be a lot less, which means we're spreading out less stuff to more space.
Yeah, I like the irony of finding 4 more feet of space at the wrong store.
Yeah, at the wrong store at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Not 3 weeks ago when we could have used it.
Sure.
But now when we absolutely don't need it, and we're spreading everything.
Aren't going to need it for a long time.
Very thin. So I had an idea for what we could do with that space.
Mm-hmm.
It is typically
a temporary idea or a long-term idea. Because remember, that space is technically earmarked.
Yeah, little of both, but longer term probably.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what it would be was a lot of work for me, as usual, because I can't seem to quite figure that space out in a way where I don't have to keep undoing work I've done.
Are you saying you've already done this?
No.
Okay.
But it's undoing work I've just done. Basically what it would be is condensing the New This Week section, right? Putting them back. Little golden books. No, taking the
new release section.
The new release section, which is 4 4-foot sections, and condensing it down to 3. Taking the far left 4-foot section that's right next to the toys, getting rid of that. Moving the toys down.
Okay.
To cover that 4-foot section, and creating a new 4-foot empty section between the left-hand side of the toys and where the
first issue
spotlight 2-foot section is.
Yeah.
Taking that 4-foot section that's empty, putting the games there.
Okay.
So now we've got a new 4-foot section at the end of the comics rack just before the counter, all the way on the right side of where the comics are. Which we could do one of two things with.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest
spread out comics.
The easiest one is just to create a new 4-foot section for comics, 9 4-foot sections instead of the current 8.
Okay.
The more difficult one that might be more valuable is moving.
I like the word valuable. I like how that could be in our life.
You're welcome. Is moving the 8 4-foot sections of comics, basically all shifting 1 4-foot section to the right. Moving the all ages graphic novels, a 4-foot section to the right, and having a new 4-foot section
at the very beginning
for all ages single issue comics to spread out.
Okay.
So they're not quite in the corner anymore, or not as much just in the corner.
They're still
anymore.
In the corner, but not just in the corner.
Right. There's a little bit more access to them. So I was curious, first of all, like if you think it's worth doing, like in general, what we could do then, long term, when we do want to reclaim that original extra 4-foot section for ancillary merchandise, we can really just
condense the
gaming down to a 2-foot section and maybe condense 2 feet of the toys.
Yeah.
And then you've got 4 feet there without removing everything. So again, if you think that's valuable, then my question is, what would you rather expand, the comic section or the all ages single issue section? Like, what do you think is the better use of that space?
Well, it's very difficult to judge what that would be at this point in time because we really don't have anywhere near an established customer base to give us an indication of what is better.
Sure.
But it seems like we definitely don't have kids shopping in the store.
Not appreciably. So yeah, I mean, that's really the thing is like, it's not like long term, and when I say long term, I mean in a few months if we really wanted to, which I guess is maybe short term. If we did the 9 4-foot sections for single issue comics and wanted to reevaluate, it's pretty easy to, at a later date, collapse down the farthest left section and then just move everything over.
Dal,
Like,
what
you've
about
already
a
done half the
compromise?
work. Okay?
2 feet for each.
No.
Why? What's wrong with that?
It's not worth doing.
Why?
Why? Because it's doing all of the work for half of the effort, for half of the payout in each section. Making a new 2-foot section for comics, that's 3.5 spaces per shelf.
Yes, and with the plethora of Black Label books coming out.
No, I'm not doing that. I don't think it was a real suggestion, but if it was, I'm not doing that. You have 2 options.
All right, how about 3 feet and 1 foot?
How about the top 2 shelves?
You know what I really want to do? I really kind of want that very thin gap at the end of the kids' graphic novels of the bookshelves.
Uh-huh.
There's just that, like, I don't know, man, like 8-inch space.
Okay.
I want to put something there.
Okay.
I have no idea what.
Well, I'm sure you'll think of something.
Well, we don't have shelves that fit.
Nope.
And we're out of hooks.
Yep.
That's not entirely true. We have a whole bunch of flat hooks
Okay.
that are good for one thing that we got for the gallery.
Oh, okay.
Remember
Sure.
those?
Yeah.
All those?
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of, I think we still have a bunch of 2-inch hooks
Okay.
for the enamel pins.
Okay.
Which are perfect for our toy section since we just have one figure
Sure.
per.
Speaking of
thing.
which, that case of Avengers figures that's coming in for Bucktown next week, I'm just
Yeah.
going to take that for River North.
How dare you?
Uh-huh.
We don't have those figures in the other one.
We don't? Which one
Which
is
one
it?
is it? No, I mean, which store is it?
Uh,
I don't know. A guy came
do
in
we
looking
not?
for Star Trek Countdown.
oh, sure.
And I'm like, yeah, we don't really do well with Star Wars books, Star Trek. Everyone knows what I mean.
Uh-huh.
And actually said, everyone does know what you mean.
Uh-huh. It's not even worth correcting.
No.
So anyway, yeah, I would probably start working on that tomorrow. I don't know if I'll do the whole thing tomorrow. That seems like a lot even for a slow Saturday in River North.
Oh, I beg to differ. I bet you're done in an hour.
I've done part of that job before, and it takes a while because you have to keep basically you're cleaning out one section, moving everything over again, moving everything over again. It's just it's all you're constantly moving back and forth. You're picking up one pile of things and putting it to the left, and you're picking up another pile of things and putting it to the left, and you're doing that again and again and again. There's no fast way to do it. It's just so much product that all has to move in a series of single movements. So it takes time. It's not hard to do. It just takes time. So half of it maybe I will do on Saturday, and then half of it I might do the next week. So there might be like a few days in there where it's just, an empty section at the end of the comics until I start moving stuff over and spreading stuff out. I don't know. We'll see. But
How
anyway,
much of this is born out of you trying to find ways to fill up the day?
40%? 60% was definitely like looking at that new this week section and saying, this is untenable. Like, this cannot be the new normal for that section.
Yeah, it's there's too much space.
It's too much space, and it looks bad. Like,
what if we just fill up we give the kids that space and just fill up those racks with little golden books?
good idea. Good use of space to take front-facing stuff and make them $5 spots.
I'm glad we agree.
We do. Finally in agreement. But yeah, I was thinking about that on Tuesday when I was in River North, and I just forgot to mention it to you until today.
So right now.
Yeah. I wanted to mention it yesterday so I could maybe work on it today, and then I didn't, and I'm like, this isn't a thing that I just want to call him when he's working in Bucktown. I'll talk to him about it later. It's fine. I had other stuff. I finished the inventory for River North.
Oh, great.
It's all done.
I think I did a lot. I made a lot of inroads on the yearly paperwork.
Okay, cool.
It's hard to tell, though, because it's so... Doing it for 2 stores is not double the work. It's a completely different process.
Yeah.
And each day I work on it, I find another way to refine it.
Sure. And the good news is that second store it has like a little over a month's worth of business.
Sure,
So
but it still has a tremendous amount of paperwork connected to it.
True.
And, there are things that we'll never be able to separate out. For example, square fees.
Sure.
We'll never be able to figure it out.
Sure.
Sales tax, because the formula with which they give you the discount, it's very weird for paying sales tax every month in the city of Chicago, because it's due by the 20th of the month after. So January 20th, the December sales tax is due.
Okay.
And if you pay it by the 20th, you get a very, very tiny discount.
Okay.
If you pay it on the 21st, you get penalties. There's no in between. There's no, hey, you're paying this, you're paying the amount you collected. It's either you're paying 1.35%, no, I'm sorry, 1.6 something percent less. Yes, that's right. It's a less than 2% discount for paying your taxes early.
So great.
Or you're being penalized like hundreds of dollars.
Oh, okay. That's good.
It's absurd. It's absurd. And
not a great system.
I'm like, well, if I could just figure out, because we always pay it on time, obviously, so we get a small discount.
Nice.
Going over the last several months of the year, I cannot figure out the exact percentage discount that we get, because it doesn't make sense. I'm within a few percentage points. That's not enough.
No.
So I at this point, cannot separate them out.
Okay.
And then there's so many things that have to be split now.
Sure.
It's ridiculous, and I don't like it.
No.
I don't like a lot of things lately.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Right? Do you remember, I guess, September? Boy, those were good days.
They were. I mean, they were interesting days for sure. I remember being frustrated and stressed out a little bit.
In September?
Yeah.
I mean, October was the horrible...
No, but even before then.
Yeah, I get. Okay, do you remember July?
Yeah, July was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pre-Labor Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good times.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man, oh man. Yeah, hysterically, like, talking about the 2019 numbers last week, the first half of our year financially was terrible, and the second half was great, but the first half of like, personally my year, pretty good.
Yeah.
Second half, I don't know. Like, this is going to sound weird, and so the most constantly asked question when people have questions about the River North store is the immediate, so how's it going? And my stock answer is, store just open, lights are on, doors are open, can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah.
Because it's the sort of thing where it's like, you don't want to say this, but I'm always thinking, you don't want the real answer.
Yeah.
You want to hear, it's going great. And if it's not going great, you don't want to hear that. I was at a Target the night of Thanksgiving, and was checking out, and like all of the registers were fully staffed.
Sure. Yeah.
So there was a woman, and she had an open register, so I went there, just making conversation like, "Oh, how's your Thanksgiving?" Terrible. It's like the first year her kid's out of town, and she has to work at Target now, and she had to work on Thanksgiving, and it was just like, oh my god, I did not mean to like pour salt in any wounds, but I clearly did just by bringing it up. I was just doing the like making conversation, you know.
Yeah,
you're just supposed to say it was fine, and I don't ask any follow-ups, and then we all leave each other alone.
I do question your choice of asking about Thanksgiving on the holiday she's working.
I don't know. What was I supposed to say?
That's like,
I'm sorry I'm
hey.
contributing to your misery. I guess that's what I'll lead with next time. It's not even a question, but I'll just say it.
Did you at least thank her for being there?
Yes,
Okay.
and I felt like an asshole. It was just like, And this is what I think about when people are doing the kind of, like, making conversation. How's it going? Like, just give them, like, the non-answer answer, you know? It's like when people ask how your day is, you say fine. No follow-ups, no elaboration, just say fine. Unless you know them personally, unless you are, like, having dinner with them and they're asking you that, go into some detail. If someone's, like, at a job or you're running into them on the street, just say fine. They don't want a real answer. They're just doing, like, the bare minimum societal politeness. So, along those lines...
how are you?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Along those lines, when people are asking about the store, I mean, for the sake of this podcast, here's the real answer. It's not going great. December was busy-ish at times, but it was, as we're finding out in the first week of January, it was largely just people that were doing Christmas shopping. These are not recurring customers. Even though a few of them are buying things for themselves, it's not like we've seen them again. This week in particular has been not, and this is the thing, it's not like terrifying or depressing. It's just boring. 2 of the days I've worked this week, Tuesday and now Friday, we've seen like single-digit customers. And low, very, 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 very low double-digit people in general. Hours of the day are me sitting there with nothing to do and no one to talk to. It's the most boring version of a comics job because part of what makes it fun is interacting with people. We put conversation in the name. We like that part of it. That part of it makes it go a lot faster for us. Being able to converse with people about how their day's been and what comics they're reading and what they're excited about and what they're not liking and how they felt about Star Wars or The Witcher or whatever. That stuff is all what makes up my day. When that's not there, I'm sitting around watching a weird amount of YouTube TV. Emergence, by the way, real good. Just a real solid show. If people aren't watching it, check it out on Hulu. I think it's probably on.
Okay.
Just real good. Just the team that did Agent Carter doing their version of like a Lost. It's real good.
Okay. Which is not Manifest. That's a different thing.
Correct, I think. I don't know what that is. But anyway.
I thought you were watching Manifest.
I'm not. I don't even know what Manifest is. I will check it out. I have plenty of time on my hands. So that's kind of like what River North is doing. And for those who have been asking about it, stop asking about it, I guess.
I was talking to Ashley about it today, and I described it almost exactly how you did.
It's
I
so
said
boring.
that when people are there,
It's great.
I feel like I'm more on than normal.
Sure. It's fun.
But when nobody is there, it's almost like I don't want to trivialize. I was going to use a hyperbole and it trivializes people who have issues, real, serious issues.
So we'll probably not do that, and instead just say it's real boring.
Well, you said it's not depressing. I find it depressing. I find it like almost hurtful to be there. Which is a weird thing to say, but
so I was thinking about this a
very
little bit.
Isolated.
I was thinking about this a little bit on the bus on the way back.
Does the Purple Line run on weekends, by the way?
It does not.
Okay.
I mean, not the loop section.
Okay.
So I was thinking about this on the way back on the bus, which is why I'm kind of bringing this up, because I had some time to think about it on the bus. When I'm on the bus and the train, I don't like listening to music. I just like thinking. I just like having a few minutes of not having something to occupy my attention, to just sort of exist.
But you just came from 8 hours of not having anything to occupy.
I had plenty of stuff. I watched a bunch of TV shows. But this is the thing. This is going to sound terrible. And for those who don't like to hear us diminish our business and engage in self-deprecation, don't listen to this part. Working in that store this week felt like I was being punished.
Yeah, I can see that.
It felt like I had offended somebody, and this was the punishment. This is like the monkey's paw thing of like, oh, you'll work in a comic shop, but no one will come in. Like, ah! And it's additionally tricky because a lot of the things that if you or I had a slow day at Red, there's usually plenty of things we can work on. You know, tasks we can do that take a little while, or things that occupy our day, so that during those slow portions, when maybe, you know, you're not seeing a lot of people, you can occupy yourself. You can do something else. Blue doesn't have those things. There are not a lot of tasks to do because the store is so brand new. It doesn't need a lot of the kind of maintenance that Red frequently needs. And on top of that, there's whole categories that we don't stock at Blue, which you could normally occupy your time working on.
Like
we don't
back
have
issues.
back issues.
Yeah.
So there's no back issues to process or back issues to organize or straighten. The shelves frankly, don't get touched a lot. So there's not a lot of things that you need to like dust or straighten or organize because people have messed them up. There's no people to mess them up. And on top of that, the tasks that we do have, because it's such a small new store, those tasks that might take a while in red don't take any time at all in blue. There's things I did today that might take me maybe an hour 15 to do at Sunday at red. They took me maybe 15 minutes to do in blue.
Wow.
Because there's just nothing to it. It's going through the invoice and looking at the subscription polls for the week that's coming up to figure out, do we have everything we need? Do we need to get anything else? And it's like, well, it's a sixth the size, poll list-wise, of what we'll have in Bucktown. So it's like, takes about a sixth the time to look over those totals and go, yep, they're all fine. There's virtually none of them. So it's the people not coming in aspect obviously is troubling in a financial sense, but just in a basic quality of life thing, it's like doubly worse because you're just feeling the boredom. There's nothing to do and there's no one to talk to and you're just sitting around. There were maybe 3 hours at the end of the day where I saw 0 people.
Wow.
So it's just like, what do you do?
Well, get ready for tomorrow to be worse than that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a weekend.
That's why we had that conversation about rearranging things. That was the 40%. Was like, it needs doing, and God, I definitely want to do it tomorrow when I got plenty of time.
Well, it doesn't help that January is a 5 Wednesday month.
Sure.
Next week, Marvel has like 6 books.
Yeah, well,
Can you explain to me how you can have 4 Dawn of X titles this week and 0 next week?
Poor planning.
That's terrible planning.
Some of it is, I know X-Men has had some production delays.
Yeah,
and I think that's maybe a thing where that book would have
2 from this week and put them in the other week.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that for 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
11 years probably, where it's been like, why are you clustering these things and then having nothing for 2 months? Like, why?
I know that Marvel has a #1 release every week, but I'm sorry, Iron Man 2020 is not getting people in.
Nobody cares about those.
We've had people drop it today.
Oh, did you really?
Before it comes out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah?
I had one person add it just for the first issue.
Yeah, just for the first issue.
Yeah, which we'll see.
To counterpoint what you were saying...
Which, real quick, a very quick parenthetical.
Yeah.
Did you see that they reduced the page count for the subsequent issues of Iron Man 2020 from 40 down to 32 and still kept it $4.99 an issue? And 8 pages less and it's still $5.
Yep.
Oof. I don't know about that, Patrick.
I saw some other books that went the other way.
That seems kind of insulting.
And the price went up.
You're getting that fluorescent ink on the covers, though.
So it's a little weird to me.
Yeah. Anyway, so you were saying...
I think they're betting way too high. I think a week ago Thursday was a day where there were 1 or 2 people that came in, bought comics. One guy bought like $50 worth of comics off the old wall.
Great.
Or first of all, whenever someone is looking at that wall, I always make a point to say, hey, just so you know, all the new releases for the week are on the other side. Mm-hmm. So you don't get lost out. And then...
Which is weird to me because it's currently a 16-foot section in a store that does not have a lot of 16-foot sections, and people still are like, yeah, did you have that new Marvels comic?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This week's section, right over here.
Yeah, and we got our second authentic club member. Mm-hmm. Somebody who's excited for comics.
Who's not a friend of yours or a transfer.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I said authentic.
Right, I just wanted to define that for people who might not understand that term.
Was that person in today?
No.
Oh, all right. What about...
Again, that's how slow it was.
Yeah. But I mean, that person's also been in, the other 4 days this week.
That person, no William.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, there were some small benefits to it being slow.
Sure. But, I mean, those are the days I felt like, all right, this is what we're looking for.
Turning a corner.
Just not fast enough.
Right.
With yesterday being as slow as it was... Mm-hmm. At both stores.
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
Although, frankly, what you did in River North at Blue did not feel that slow to me, based on where we've been at other days.
Sure.
Especially compared to Wednesday.
But
that felt like a decent Thursday after Wednesday.
No, agreed.
But when Bucktown at Red does that same number, it's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, I did like half of what Red did.
Yeah, man, that's
horrible.
That's shockingly horrible.
And today started out strong in Red, but tapered off.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I think between I have no idea what you did, but I think between the two of us, we probably did an average Red Friday.
Maybe.
All right.
I did today what I basically did on Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No. Super boring. At least Tuesday I had a batch of new books to unpack and some stuff to read.
I'm just...
Today I was like, what's going on in this stuff
Today's
town?
the 10th. We're a third of the way through the month.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just looking ahead at, hey, rent's going to be due soon.
Yeah.
And that, at this point, is an issue.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Hey, I don't suppose Cushing called today.
No.
Huh. Okay.
The only phone calls I got today were people looking for whoever used to own the phone number that we own now.
Yeah, I get a lot of those.
Yeah. Is this Emma McKenzie? It's not. No.
I got an Emma phone call yesterday. Yeah.
I have a question about your home security system. Okay, we're not a home. What? This is a business. Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a gentleman come in, a burly gentleman come in, with just rancid breath.
Cool.
He's like, yeah, I do some work with insert man's name next door, and I'm looking to do like your fire, your smoke detectors and blah blah blah. Hey man, that's the job of the building. That's not us.
Yeah.
Do you know where the office is for the building? I can honestly say I've never been there. I do know it has a different address. It has a Chicago address. Oh yeah, stack of cards. Can you pass these along? Sure, I will not just throw these in the trash the second you leave. And please stop looking at me with your mouth open. Your breath smells very, very bad, sir, and you're representing your business.
Rough.
Yeah. We got a call today in Red about somebody who really wants to help us with our international travel.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Are they paying for it?
I'm like, oh, so if you come work for me so I can travel, that's great. That'd be a help.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
I
I did going through some paperwork. I did look at how much we spend on phones at each store and thought, why are we paying to get so angry when it's just solicitors?
Yeah.
And then again, I had that problem today where I answer the phone, it's dead silent, and I have to say, hey, I'm real sorry if I can't hear anything. If you can hear me, I cannot hear you, so I'm going to hang up. And then they call right back and everything is fine.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know if it's the line or the phone, but that happens like once a day.
Huh.
And I just, when they call right back, I look at the caller ID, oh, it's the same person.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's causing it, but it happens all the time. And I've told you this. I've been on the receiving end. I've called.
Yeah.
You even know that it's me.
Yep.
And you hear nothing.
Yep.
And you think I'm being a jerk.
Not then.
We have a question.
Oh, okay.
We have a question from a fellow retailer and a patron.
Oh, neat.
Ryan Hecht.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan and his wife own Next Door Comics in Cloverdale in Northern California.
That sounds cool.
I wondered if it's near Cloverfield.
Sure.
And if it got destroyed by a giant monster.
Probably.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't want to skip ahead. Is that part of the question?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Their town is 8,500 people.
Okay.
So they do more than just comics, but
Sure.
comics are Ryan's first love.
That's great.
And ironically, they had just moved locations and they were installing a bookcase while listening to the podcast when we started talking about the fixtures we were going to use in blue.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but anyway, the question is about back issues.
No, the question's about Zen mastery of... no, I'm sorry, go on.
The idea behind wearing a mask, and yeah, there you go. That's the question.
I still haven't read that new series.
Ryan's, it's right here. It's literally right here on this table.
I'll check it out.
Well, anyway,
We don't have one in River North for me to read.
That is the question. Ryan's question is about our back issue process.
Sure.
They want to move their back issues to a 99%, not 99%, 99% of back issues. 99 cents, as we do.
Okay.
And the questions are, do you bag and board them all? At what point do you move a comic from the regular rack to the back issue section? So I'm going to answer the parts that I can do.
Okay.
We do not bag and board our back issues. We just bag them. We stopped boarding our back issues years ago because of how much extra space the boards take up in the boxes. And also at 99 cents, we don't want to give away a 10-cent board for a 99-cent book. It's bad enough there's a bag. Yeah. But obviously this, like if you think of 300 boards, how much room they take up when you stack them up, and put that in a long box.
Yeah.
That's the space you can put comics in.
Yeah.
So we bag them, and we honestly only bag them so we can sticker them and know that they're back issues.
Yeah.
If there was a way we could do it without.
I mean, there is kind of, but it's just, it's.
Also, this is easier.
Yeah.
So no one is confused. At the end of the day, when I'm straightening up, I found a Champions number 10 sitting on the alternate toy rack. You know, the Transformers toy rack?
Oh, okay.
But we've already pulled Champions.
Huh.
And it was out of its bag. There's no space on the wall for Champions.
No.
And it was just a single issue of Champions.
So weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
But normally, I would just put it back on the shelf, but obviously not on the shelf because it's been pulled.
Right.
Which is going to segue into you answering that half of the question for Ryan.
So there's a few considerations that go into pulling something for the back issues. In general, for an ongoing series that's still running, I try to keep 8 issues on the shelf of any ongoing series.
Regardless if it's twice a month or once a month.
8 issues. So something that's 5 months old for a twice monthly shipping book is going to get pulled, but something else that comes out monthly, it's going to take 9 months for it to come off the shelf. And it could be even more often if it's like an Image series that takes a bunch of months off between issues.
Sure. I don't think I've ever known that rule.
Okay. That's just, it's a rule that I have, but it's how because that's basically like, when you start thinking about what we stock on the shelf, we usually try and keep at least 2 copies of something on the shelf. Not counting the newest issue, which might have more because it sells more frequently.
Yeah.
And when you start to have more than 8 issues, the stack gets real big.
I thought it was 3. It used to be 3.
It used to be 3, but it's 2 for most books now. It could be 2 and a variant if it's a DC book. And that's a little bit more by ear, depending on how many issues are in the stack. Like Catwoman, because they never sell, and we have so many issues of Catwoman, weirdly, we can never cut our numbers enough to not get stuck with Catwoman. I don't know what's happening with that comic book. But we have 16 copies of Catwoman on the shelf. We could not go to 24 copies or it would fall off the shelf.
Sure.
But if it's something where we only had 2 or 3 issues from the last 8 issues, then I'm more lenient with it. I'll let it be 3 or 4 copies because it's taking up the same amount of space. I'm more worried about how big the stack is than adhering to some, rule of my own making. As for like completed miniseries, that's usually going to come off the shelf once the graphic novel comes out. Once there's a collection, I don't really feel like I need to keep, issues 2, 3, and 5 of a 5-issue miniseries on the shelf. They're not going to sell anymore. No one cares anymore. And I can usually look at the sales data on the computer to see, like, okay, if it's been more than 2 months since we sold the most recent issue, it's done. In month 3, no one's going to care anymore. And that's also how I pull things that we've stopped ordering for the shelf. Stuff that have moved to subscription only or that we've just cut orders for entirely. If it's been, like, if we stopped carrying a series with issue 15, when 17 comes out and we're still subscription only, that's when I pull 15 and back from the shelf.
Okay.
Because it's been 2 months. Whatever final sales we're going to get for this series that was not selling off the shelf to begin with is completed, is done.
And then what happens when at 19, one of the few club members drops it?
Uh-huh.
So you suddenly have one.
Then suddenly we have a few more issues of stuff like House of Whispers.
Do you have to then make
Justice League Odyssey.
Create a space for it again?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give those issues a couple months to try and sell, because I'm not just going to take something that never even got a chance to sell on the shelf and put it in the back issues, selling it at a loss. That's just, I'm insulted by. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So even though 9 times out of 10 that stuff does not sell off the shelf and it does go to the back issues, at least I feel like I gave it an opportunity to pay for itself. So that's how we deal with back issues. It's probably not great, but it's what we've been doing. I'm sure people who have a more back issue focused store have been holding their breath and screaming in their mouths for the last 3 minutes as I explained our process.
I never want it to be a point where people can predict what's going to be a back issue and wait.
Sure.
And be like, I just wait for this as 99 cents.
I don't think they do, mostly because obviously the thing is that ideally, we never want to be in a position where stuff comes off the wall and becomes a back issue.
Yeah.
If that happened, that means we screwed up our ordering. Like, we're selling it at a loss. We're not making any extra money, so it would have been better for us to not order that extra comic that won the back issues than make it 99 cents.
Uh-huh.
So, if stuff does go in the back issues, it's rarely ever a string of anything. I mean, Catwoman. But, like, again, if it's a 5-issue miniseries, it's probably not going to be all 5 issues. It's going to be a couple random issues that we just didn't get our numbers right on. Yeah, there's always going to be gaps. People frequently will bring back issues up to the counter and go, yeah, you got issues 2, 5, and 6 from the 6-issue miniseries. Can you... where are 1, 3, and 4 back there? And it's like, no, we probably sold them off the shelf.
Yeah.
This is just the ones we got caught with. There's not going to be...
And then people
cheap
are like,
versions of 1, 3,
can
and
you
4.
order it? Yeah, but they're not going to be 99 cents.
No, they're going to be $4 because we had to order them for you. And they're always like a little put out by that, like we've let them down. And it's like,
you let us down.
Yeah, you got a deal. How dare you ask for more?
Now, with the cover price of books jumping to basically $4 a book,
sure,
I think we need to change our back issues to $1.99 a back issue.
Are you serious?
No.
You want to? I mean, we can. I'm not opposed to raising the price.
$1.50.
$1.25.
But I mean, like we making everything 99 cents, we're losing even more money now.
Yeah, which again is kind of why the emphasis is on getting our numbers right and maybe cutting things a little bit more in 2020.
Yeah,
because I mean, when I have to pull a stack of stuff off the wall to make room for other comics, and that's really why we're doing it. It's not just like, this is sold as much as it can, I'm going to try and liquidate it to get something back. No, we're mostly doing it because we ran out of space.
And that's why I think the extra space at River North should be new comics.
Sure. I've already had to pull a few things, and that's only
because,
after a month of the store being open.
Because hopefully as people find us, we want to be able to have them fill in holes. And people seem to be starting to do that, although
Sure.
one guy... Can you name the one comic that somebody saw on Wednesday on the regular comic wall, not new this week, and went, oh, score! And like grabbed it like, oh my god, I gotta get this before anyone else does. Because it was the last copy we had.
Miles Morales 13?
Nope. You're close, but not emo-y enough. Kylo Ren.
Oh, the Rise of Kylo Ren number 1?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's cool.
And then I had somebody come in and pick up two and say, you wouldn't have to have one, would you?
Not anymore. It's going to
just
second
sold
print,
it.
though.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The thing about the comics wall and expanding it, like, I mean, that's obviously, you know, people who are thinking, like, well, why are you having to pull off potentially sellable product to make room for new sellable product when you could just give the product more space and keep more of it on the wall?
It's still not going to go.
Well, so that's the thing. Like beyond the limited space that every retail location has, you can't just infinitely expand every section to accommodate more product. It's difficult to justify that because that stuff doesn't sell. And then on top of that, like now you're more of your space is being allocated to stuff that is not selling. So it's, you know, the price you're paying per square foot of your store is now making even less money. I don't want to give more than 32 linear feet of space on the wall to new comics because past the first week, most of them don't sell, or at least don't sell consistently enough across, you know, the scope of the industry to be worth doing that for. Like, it's difficult when we're doing our ordering, at least it is for me, Patrick. I don't know if you disagree, to cut stuff so to the bone because there's a part of your brain that's like, well, we gotta have a copy of that on the shelf if someone comes in, right?
We'll never grow our business that way.
Right.
I looked at the new comic wall in River North this week and thought, the next few weeks of FOCs, I went too tight. But I didn't because there's plenty of books that will never sell.
Right.
But the things we sell out of the first day...
Right.
And who's to say we could ever sell a second copy or third copy or whatever?
And I mean, I'm looking at other stuff where it's like, God, we cut that number to the bone. It's the Friday after release. We still have like 5 or 6 copies. That's probably what we have in Bucktown.
Yeah.
And Bucktown's probably going to sell them over the next month. I don't know if River North will. Maybe we go even tighter. Like, we're definitely in a weird position with River North where I think we still have, I don't want to say optimism, but we have enough belief in what we've built that there will be more people at some point, and we don't want to find ourselves in the position of a few people joining the subscription service and that suddenly being the reason why we don't have any comics on the shelves that Wednesday. Like, that's, even though you can correct that in a few weeks and you can pull stuff from Bucktown if you need to, like, that's a very stressful situation to be in, is not knowing if you'll be able to fill next week's subscription orders because you already locked those numbers in, and now you got new people showing up saying, cool, I'm going to need, these 15 titles on my list. And it's like, well, okay, well, we were only ordering 1 or 2 copies because that's what we sold of the last one, and now we have 1 for the shelf, maybe 0.
Yeah, and at the same time, you don't want somebody who just finds a store to come in, look at that rack and think, oh, you guys don't have anything.
Oh, I'm not going to bother coming back because you guys don't carry comics. Yeah. Like, So, yeah, it's...
I mean, I think that's all we carry.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's... The back issue market for us, because we don't have a ton of space devoted to back issues, and because, we don't really serve the collectible end of the market, it's very much about just trying to clear space out for new product when things go to the back issues. It's not really about, maximizing value or, eliminating unsellable dead stock and trying to recoup some money. Because the back issues, I mean, for us, they don't really sell that great. Like, it's not a big part of our business at all. So much so that when we had a more limited amount of space for Blue, we were like, let's not do back issues, because back issues take up a ton of space and also don't really make any money. They make a negligible amount of money. It's nice to get some of the money back instead of just throwing dead books in the garbage.
Right.
But it's substantially more than throwing them in the garbage. Not really.
And honestly, that's the way I feel about the local stock as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the local stock, this is not at all an indictment of quality in any means.
No.
It's that nobody cares about that section. And I had somebody, the person that I alluded to before, I didn't allude to, I just outright told the story, that had a call back. Mm-hmm. It was someone checking on their books.
Yeah.
So I had 2 phone calls. Uh-huh. Then I had to go look for their book and find it and to come back and say, you've sold 0 of one of them and 3 of the other. Mm-hmm. Just all that. It doesn't seem like it's any extra work, but when you multiply it by the, 1,000 different books we have.
Yes.
And that section gets destroyed daily.
Yeah.
But no one ever buys anything. Why are you looking all through it then?
The weirdest thing to me about the local section is that the people who are the most avid shoppers at the local section are always people in from out of town.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm visiting Chicago. What do you have that I can't get at my store? Oh, here's the local section. It's so funny to me, so gallows humor funny to me, that people in Chicago could not care less about Chicago creators, generally. People from, Boston and L.A. and Denver and Miami, oh, they're super excited. Oh, look at this. Look at this amazing thing. I can sell Rachel Bard stuff to them like it's, like it's free money. But people in Chicago don't care about any of this stuff. They don't care about Chicago people making Chicago comics.
I did already have to turn someone down at River North.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, I'm sorry, we're not doing that here.
Yeah.
We just don't have the room for it.
Yeah, I mean, that 4-foot section, maybe we should.
Don't even joke.
That could potentially be a thing down the line, but I definitely think for River North, we're much more going to be... We will buy stuff from people. You come in, you've got a good book that I think we could do something with. Yes, we'll just buy it from you. But the, open door policy of consignment stuff... It's just work.
Yep.
It's not really making us any money. There's pretty soon, probably in the next week or two, I'm going to have to go through the face out section of the New This Week section and just prune the shit out of it.
You mean local section?
The local section, sorry, the local section. Because it looks gross. It's just piles and piles of books because people keep bringing us piles of books.
Luckily, I was able to find the woman who called her books on that section.
So yeah, I mean, if you've got somebody tomorrow that you want to give them something to do, usually what I will do when it's that full is I'll pick arbitrary date, usually 6 months.
Yeah.
Anything older than 6 months goes in the boxes. Thin it out. I don't even care if it looks anemic.
That's fine, but then how do you know? Do you go through and cross-reference every book?
They all have price tags on the back.
So what about the ones that just have barcodes?
Very few do.
Then they can stay.
Even the ones that have barcodes don't have prices on them. We still have to put price tags on them, usually. No artist puts a price on their book, it seems. So yeah, almost everything's got a price tag on the back. If it doesn't, you can look up those rare few ones, or just eyeball it. Does it feel like it's been there too long? Have you seen it forever?
What if we do the opposite? What if we just shuffle and pull the best of?
I've done that. I mean, there's been things where if I feel strongly enough in that creator, you know, or they're good friends with the store, and I'm just like doing them a favor, I'll keep it out there. But there's plenty of stuff that's just like, it's been there for 8 months.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, if you've got somebody on Saturday, that would definitely save me some time having to do that on Sunday or Monday. Yeah, it's
Why don't
definitely
you
time.
take all the boxes to River North?
Mm-hmm.
Problem solved.
There you go.
I'll just dump everything into a box. We'll just bring them over tomorrow.
Yeah. Don't even like place them in gently. Just literally dump them. Just take a shelf off the wall.
I mean,
and dump it like you're dumping a box.
Like
system.
the number one complaint people have about Quimby's local zine section is that it's always in terrible shape. The people are the reason why.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's 100% the problem.
We've never been able to find a good solution for display.
I think our solution is pretty good. I like our solution.
Oh, I mean,
I wouldn't want to give it more space.
I just mean it's not sellable. A way that it looks more enticing.
Oh, I mean, it looks like the comics that we have on the shelves.
I'm talking about
all the boxes. Oh, no, that also long term definitely needs to get cleaned out.
So
we have
here's
like 8+ boxes of stuff.
Like 6.
Is it not the bottom ones? Are the bottom ones not?
I think
I thought every cube was full now because it keeps growing, and we've got stuff. We have a binder that's inches thick.
Yeah.
Of books that we got dropped off from people almost a decade ago that we do not need to keep on the floor, that no one will ever come looking for, that could just get like not only pulled from those boxes to eliminate so much clutter, so much garbage, but also those people can get called to say, come get your books in the next 30 days so we're putting them in the garbage. Like, we have been holding on to these things that we tell people now a year. We'll stock it for a year, which is, I think, is great.
Yeah, we tell people that, but we've never gone through it.
I think we need to.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think it's definitely a thing, and that's
an
Kent, if you're listening
project.
to this, that may be a thing that falls on Thursdays as well.
I got
Everyone's going to get some hands in this project, I think.
I came in this morning, and there was A, light out in the back room.
Okay.
B, a box just sitting like on that black counter.
Okay.
Like, what is this for? It was the box, the extra box of back issues.
Oh, he kept the box?
Yes, but my point is, everything was empty.
Oh, that's great. He was working on it when I stepped on.
Okay, but this is a person who has said one box
sure.
is my maximum.
And this is probably 2 or 3 boxes, really.
Yeah.
At least 2. That's
Yeah.
great.
So
Good job.
yeah.
Good job.
I wonder if that's where that Champions came from, though.
Probably.
He just put them all anywhere in the store.
Yeah. Champions. That was. I don't know if you were mentioning this before, but that's a book that we pulled from the shelf.
Yeah.
That was not pulled from the shelf. It was, but it was a subscription only book that had to go back on the shelf.
Yeah.
And then got pulled from the shelf. That was its life cycle. Was that somebody burned us on it, and then no one who shops at Challengers over a 2-month period wanted to buy it, so it just went in the back issues. We were right not to order any of that for the shelf.
But I mean, it's a book featuring such major youth characters, and we couldn't sell it.
Speaking of youth characters, did you hear they're doing a bunch of Outlawed projects?
Yeah, that's what Power Pack is.
Yeah, Power Pack is one. New
Warriors by Daniel Kibblesmith.
Yep. Kibblesmith is doing that one, and then the I guess the linchpin book is going to be Eve Ewing's new ongoing Champions book.
Okay.
Because Simone DeLeo, I think one of the Power
she did a one-shot just called Outlawed.
Yes,
previous month,
which is setting up like the overall scope of these. But Champions is going to be the ongoing book. Everything else is, or the other 2 that they've announced are 5-issue miniseries.
Doesn't this whole thing sound like Civil War to you?
Yeah, it sounds like Civil War Junior. So that's. Is this a good time to mention this thing that you texted me? Was this the thing I needed to read out?
Yeah, sure. It's a question since we were talking about upcoming
Outlawed goes into this
books. Yeah,
and this is a good way to talk about both those things at once. Patrick sent me a screen cap of a question somebody had that said, on the one hand, I am pretty much over crossovers, and the Empyre name, that's Empyre, like pyre, like something you'd throw on a pyre. Empyre. Name is dumb. On the other hand, I like Al Ewing and lots of Brevoort edited stuff. What do I do, Patrick?
And my advice was, first of all, I really liked Incoming, which sets up Empyre.
Yep.
The only thing I didn't like was the fact that it set up Empyre, and I have no investment in Empyre whatsoever. But I just said, read it until you don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong.
Don't commit to buying it.
There's nothing wrong with picking up an issue off the
Don't
shelf.
commit to buying it all.
Yeah, and reading it and seeing what you think, and if you want to continue the series. We don't pressure people, I don't think, to sign up for series if they're not into it. If you're excited about it and want to sign up for it, great. If you want to take it issue by issue, that's fine too. If you don't want to pre-order anything and just want to wait for reviews to come in, that's also fine. I want people to be happy with their purchases and with the comics they're reading. The rest of it works itself out, I hope.
But to answer the question, until I read it myself, I can't give you more advice than, give it a try.
So Empyre and Outlawed, to me, are... The problem for me with both of them is that the answer to the question is very much, it depends on the execution. And that kind of sucks, because I'd like the idea to be strong enough and exciting enough that the execution is gravy. And these are two series where it's like, I don't know why they exist. I don't know who is asking for these stories. Neither one sounds that appealing to me. One is, again, Civil War Jr., and other one's...
one of them you were asking for.
Well, no, one of the tie-in series I was asking for.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking for it to be Outlawed.
But I mean, is Outlawed, aside from as a standalone issue, is it a thing?
Yes, it's the brand for all these other books.
Okay.
Like, Power Pack is
Right.
Outlawed.
No, I know, but
New Warriors is Outlawed.
Fine, okay.
Champions is Outlawed. And I don't think that, or, trying to explain what Empyre is to people who have already, like, seen the logo or whatever, and are like, what is this? And it's like, the Krees and the Skrulls are teaming up to come to Earth to do something, and it's like, do what? I don't know. And plus, who cares about the Kree and the Skrull?
Instead of the Kree Skrull War, it's the Kree and Skrull War.
I guess, which again is just
no, that's exactly from
right. That's a tagline that doesn't mean anything and does not create any excitement. Like, okay, who are they supposed to be fighting?
And
a bunch of Kree soldiers and Skrull soldiers?
The initial Kree Skrull War that was just a storyline in the Avengers. It wasn't a publishing event. It was a storyline in the Avengers.
Story that they were in. And like the face of Empyre so far is Hulkling, who is everyone's 9th favorite Young Avengers character. Who's so interesting and successful, and people are so in demand about what he's been up to, that he was like the 3rd build character in Death's Head, a 4-issue miniseries that like 50 people bought, maybe nationwide.
Nationwide. That's
nationwide.
Part.
I think it hit 50 was the sales figures for that book. I don't. Neither of these events feel like they have a very strong, exciting core to them, nor do they feel like they are spinning out of anything that's hot in the industry right now. Like, I wasn't a fan of something like Absolute Carnage, but Venom was doing really well, and Donny Cates was a very hot writer. So spinning that into something like Absolute Carnage that was a big event makes a kind of sense. Doing something like Outlaw doesn't make any sense to me because they literally just canceled Champions. Now, I'm sure that some of the canceling Champions was because they had plans like this for 2020, but when you're launching an event off of a book that's not even on the market anymore, and that's the face of it, that's insane to me. That does not feel like starting an event from a position of strength. And Empyre kind of has the same thing where it's like, I like Al Ewing, that's interesting to me, but the Dan Slott books, who is co-writing this with him, are not doing super great. People do not seem to talk about Fantastic Four anymore. And again, this Iron Man 2020 thing is not exactly, setting our subscription figures on fire.
No.
So they just feel like things where it's like, this is something that happened because this has to happen for sales to hit a certain threshold in this quarter for Marvel's accounting. Like, they feel incredibly editorially mandated, not good ideas for stories. And it's bad enough when that sort of thing happens for one comic book, but when it happens for like 6 or 7 comics in a franchise, then it just is like, it feels so much worse. Like, the pressure for it to deliver is so great that when you're starting with an idea that I don't really care about, but maybe could be good if Al Ewing can salvage it, that's not good. That's not a smart way to start these things. So that's kind of where I'm at with Empyre and Outlawed, despite the fact that Outlawed is giving me a Ryan North, Nico Leon Power Pack book, which I'm very excited for. I'm a huge Power Pack fan. Patrick, I don't know if I've ever mentioned that or that you knew that, but I'm a big fan of Power Pack.
What is Power Pack?
Power Pack are a team of superheroes that are all siblings. Alex, Julie, Katie, and Jack.
That doesn't sound right.
I'm very excited to see what Ryan North does with
Can you
them.
read any of this? Look at this indicia.
The edition, sure.
Look at that. Look at how absurd that is.
Oh, golly.
It's microscopic, and it's white ink printed over black with
Black and blue.
images throughout it.
Are you looking for, like, what the issues were?
I mean, I just wanted you to see how bad that was.
It's pretty bad.
So I pulled off from our extensive archives here in the recording studio a collection of the original Kree Skrull War, and it ran from Avengers 89 to Avengers maybe 97. I say maybe because the cover to the last chapter mysteriously has no number. Like the number box is just empty, but it goes like see that number box.
Yeah.
But it's I'm sure it's so it's basically it was an 8-issue story, but one of them I think was oversized because there's a bunch of chapters. It just says parts. It doesn't say anything about.
Well, I'm just looking at the indicia to see if it has a thing where it might say like what
and look where the barcode is for that book. It's where your thumb is.
89 to 97.
Yeah, there you go. I can't believe you can read that.
I mean, I kind of figured it out. I don't know that if you didn't give me the numbers to start with, I don't think I could have gotten there.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
that collection came out in 2000.
Yeah.
But here, did you see that there's a barcode inside the front cover?
Yeah, that's how they used to do it because they would do the ISBN on the outside and they would do the UPC on the inside, and then they just stopped doing that and said it's just ISBN.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So it was an 8-issue run back in Avengers.
Sure.
A long time
that's
ago.
a thing that Dan DiDio had recently said, and at least that I read in an email that he sent out to retailers, where he was talking about, I guess retailers had asked a question or complained maybe about the fact.
You're not allowed to talk about that stuff.
Stuff that's in the direct channel?
Yeah. The direct channel did like a transcript of his Facebook.
Yeah.
And that is not for...
Really?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's not even problematic. It's just, oh my God, that's so stupid.
I just thought I'd point that out.
Jesus.
That is
Fine.
a
Fine.
standing rule.
I don't want DC's communist guard to track me down, put me in the stockades.
I will say that Dal was not about to give away any proprietary information.
No, and that's why it's so stupid. Like, this isn't like, hey, by the way, here's what happens in Batman 100. No, it's just a simple thing where it's like...
I'll tell you what happens in Batman 100.
I won't say what he said then, but I will just say...
I actually was going to applaud what he said.
Yeah, because that's why it's so dumb that like you can't say this thing that explains why we're doing something that makes it make sense and alleviates retailer concerns.
It's not that they said you can't say anything about this one. It's that
Jesus
all
Christ.
of those Facebook live videos are just for
idiotic. God forbid anyone says anything good about what DC does with their communication to retailers. Fine, I will shut up about it.
I'm sorry I told you.
No. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the idea that, like, hey, look, we're going to explain things and, have a clear discourse with retailers, but you can't say the good things that we told you. Like, all right, whatever.
Well, in general terms, I will just say that they talked about what worked for them last year and what didn't work.
Sure.
And I like them, like, putting a button on, hey, we're doing this badly, and we need to fix it.
No, and like
that is not a thing.
I wasn't going to quote other stuff because there's things in there there's things where I'm like, oh, I'm glad you explained that. That makes sense to me. I don't know that I agree with that, but I see you have thought this through. You have a perspective on this,
yeah,
and that's why you're doing what you're doing. It's not just like we are mad at retailers and we want to make their jobs harder. Like, nope, I get it. Again, I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's just my opinion versus your opinion. I can agree to disagree on that. But there's other stuff where it's like, oh, that's a stupid idea, and that emphasis on that part of comics publishing and superhero storytelling is literally the core of what you did badly in 2019, and you have learned nothing from that. So that's awesome. Yeah, but I won't mention that stuff.
Why would you? Mm-hmm. It's so funny. The first credit in all of these Kree Skrull War issues.
Yeah.
The first credit.
Sure.
As job that goes into creating a comic.
Stanley?
Not person, the job.
Oh, editor?
Editor.
Sure.
And it's Stanley, yeah.
That's why. Not
Everyone
because it's
is
editor, just because it's
editor
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee.
Everything
Roy
else is
Thomas,
just like,
writer.
yeah.
Neil Adams, artist. Tom Palmer, inks.
No, that's just because eventually they would do the Stan Lee Presents thing, so they could have his name be first without having to say that he doesn't do anything anymore. He doesn't. He's in Los Angeles. He's not in the offices. But yeah, back then, I mean, you weren't even in issue 100 for Avengers. Yeah, you had to have Stan Lee's his name first, of course.
Of course. I'm trying to look. I mean, Roy Thomas wrote this whole thing, but it's not like they gave him any specific credit on the covers or even in the indicia. But they sure gave Neil Adams cover. Neil Adams and Steve Buccoletto cover colors.
Well, I mean, I'm not a Neil Adams guy by any stretch. But for people who were excited about the Kree Skrull War, it's because of Neil Adams.
You mean Sal Buscema?
No, it's because of Neil Adams. Even if he didn't do every chapter, it's Neil Adams. That's what people want, is that Neil Adams Avengers art.
I don't even know what's happening on this cover.
Yeah, as someone who never read the Kree Skrull War, when I was working at a comic shop and I saw that cover where it's the Vision gigantic over the spinning around forms, like they're all doing that Brokeback pose. It's Thor and Cap and Iron Man.
Well, they're all pointing like to us.
But why do they all have their asses to us and spinning around their torsos?
And also,
that's what's so confusing
what's happening?
to me.
What's part of Vision's leg is this?
But it's the fact that the word balloon on the cover is each word is one balloon, and it's the Vision saying 3 cows shot me down, help me, and it's like that's not interesting to me as a potential reader. I was just like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah.
Why is he saying cows shot him down? Like, I didn't want to read the story after that. I wanted it to not have that cover anymore.
And there are neither Kree nor Skrull on this.
No. There's just Thor and Cap and Iron Man doing the Brokeback pose. And Vision Giant saying that cows shot him down. I don't understand. I mean, I eventually found out. It's fine. So people who are listening to this who have a deeper affinity for the Kree Skrull War, please don't at me. I know the significance
no one
of the
can
cows.
at you, Dal.
I know, but
No
it's an
can.
expression, Patrick.
And who wrapped up the final chapter of the Kree Skrull War artistically?
I mean, Gil Kane did that cover for that issue.
If Sal Buscema started it,
John Buscema?
John Buscema.
Big John?
Yep.
Nice.
Big John Buscema. There you have it. Kree Skrull War. Yeah, I'm interested enough in what got to Empyre to see where it goes, and if it's Al Ewing.
Sure.
But as David Harper was saying, he's worried because Marvel's not known for inexpensive, get-to-the-point crossovers anymore.
Oh, God, no.
They're going to stretch this out as long as possible and do as many $9 issues as possible.
Yeah, even something like Absolute Carnage, which kind of came out of the gate with an oversized first issue for $8, but it was intended to be 4 issues, and then they added a 5th. But the whole thing was over in like 3 months. War of the Realms was the same way. They did 6 issues, some of them oversized, but they came out 2 a month. It was over in 3 months. Those books on their own, achievable, like something that you could get in addition to everything else that you're normally getting without feeling like you're stretching yourself too thin. But then, yeah, you look at the publishing plan and it's like, Christ almighty. Like, War of the Realms had like 60 parts or something. It was insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I certainly, like, for me as a reader, I don't expect to read a lot of the tie-ins for those series. If I'm enjoying the main series enough, I'll probably just read the main series and then...
That's what I've always said about crossovers.
A first issue for sure. Like, I'll read the first issues of nearly any tie-in series to something that I'm reading. Like, again, I skipped Absolute Carnage entirely, just no interest. But for Outlaw, yeah, I'll read Champions 1 and I'll read New Warriors 1. And, you know, if they do other teen stuff, I'll probably check it out if it seems interesting.
Wait, you didn't say how many issues of Power Pack you're going to read?
100. I'll read each of them 20 times.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The fun anecdote to that announcement is when I messaged Dal to tell him about this, I led with all caps saying, "Are you sitting down?" And then,
And of course I was at River North.
and then,
Yes, go on.
and then, have you heard?
Uh-huh.
And you said, "Yes, I can no longer fly by night." And I said, "I don't understand that." And you said, "What were you talking about?"
I had just read that Neil Peart, the drummer from Rush, had died.
Okay, I'm gonna again
Uh-huh.
ask you to stop calling him a drummer. He was a percussionist.
Okay. That was what the headline said.
I know every
Rush Drummer, Neil Peart.
I'm not serious about that.
Okay.
B, every headline.
Okay.
Every article called him a drummer.
Okay.
But in the industry, people call him a percussionist.
Okay. Little drummer boy, Neil Peart.
There was rumors. Some website did a fake story about Mike Portnoy taking over from Neil Peart on a Rush tour, and Mike Portnoy had to come out and say, "I would 100% do that without them even asking," but that's not real.
He just show up with drumsticks.
Yeah.
Where do I sit?
Yeah. Hey, Alex. Hey, Getty. Let's do this. He's like, I could play every Rush song my entire life. That's how I learned how to play drums, things like that.
That's cool.
But he's like, yeah, that's not. And they never said they were going to do that. But maybe they can go out as like a new band or a Rush tribute band. Mm-hmm. Jeff Tate always jokes that he, Chris DeGarmo, and Scott Rockenfeld should form a Queensryche tribute band and go out on the road, since they're three original members who are no longer in the band.
That's funny.
Mike Portnoy, who I'll be seeing at the Arcata Theater at the end of the month with one of his many bands, Sons of Apollo, with Billy Sheehan on bass. And you're like, wait, Billy Sheehan and Mike Portnoy, aren't those 2/3 of the Winery Dogs?
Wait!
Yes, they are, but they're in other bands together, too.
Do you think they'll do any Winery Dog songs?
I do not. Actually, you know what? They'll probably do like a Dream Theater song. I might do a Winery's Dog song.
Okay.
I'm just excited for, since we're talking about music.
Sure.
Richie Kotzen.
When is that show, by the way?
Friday the 31st. So that'll be a Friday we are not recording.
Good to know.
I put a lot of the things that I have commitments to on the red calendar.
Okay.
Not the blue one, though.
No. The blue one has a lot of like weird, like fan holiday sort of stuff.
Yeah, I put that on red as well.
And Pokemon Day or whatever.
I put that on like movie releases and things.
Sure, movie releases make sense. Yeah. Pokemon Day, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't know. There was a Ghostbusters Day, but not because of the movie.
There's a Ghostbusters Day.
Yeah, I didn't put May the 4th down or May the 5th. May the 4th, whatever.
May the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
I don't watch Star Trek. You know that.
Oh, golly.
That one was done on purpose.
I know. I really wish you would have gotten it wrong when you were getting it wrong.
And said Star Wars, yeah. But speaking of things being done on purpose or just being done, thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155.
And in the River North neighborhood of Chicago at 750 North Franklin Street, number 103, 312-285-2252.
Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.